Hey Allison, I'm super excited to make this video for you. You're going to be going into fifth grade next year, right? And I taught fifth grade for a very long time, and it was my favorite grade ever. Um, and reading is my favorite thing to do, and my second favorite thing to do is talk to people about reading and book talk good books for them. Um, so um, Auntie Linda told me that you loved Wonder, and I love Wonder too. Have you seen the movie? I thought the movie was almost as good as the book. So I'm going to start with I wonder if you've ever read anything by Kate DiCamillo. Kate DiCamillo is my favorite author. She used to be for a long time the children's book ambassador for the whole United States, and she's super nice. And she has a ton of really good books. My nieces and I right now are reading this one right here, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. And this one is about a young girl, and she has this rabbit that's made of china, kind of like glass, so it's really breakable. And the rabbit that's who the story is about. And he is super vain at the beginning. Like all he thinks about is himself, and he thinks he's so wonderful, and he doesn't care about love or listening to Abilene. And then something really terrible happens to him. They go on this, I'm not going to tell you what, but they go on her family, Abilene's family goes on this ship, and they're going to sail off to London. Well, then there's this super terrible thing that happens to Edward on the ship. And then his story takes him, he has this really wonderful life, and then something really terrible happens, and then something really good happens, and then another thing terrible happens, and his story is kind of shaped like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. But in the end, you'll see the lessons that Edward learned. I've read this book about 20 times, and every single time I cry at the end. Not a sad cry, happy cry. I like books that make me cry, and because you said wonder, I figure you must like books where there's a good lesson, where people have good hearts, and just kind books. So those are the books I'm going to book talk for you. So that one right here, Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, I give it 1,000,000 stars. It's so good. Another one of my favorites, I wonder if you ever read Because of Winn-Dixie, also by Kate DiCamillo. I know that you have dogs and you're a dog lover as well. This story is about a little girl. Her name is Opal, and her dad and her just moved she had to leave all of her friends behind and move to a brand new place in Florida. And her mom left the family. So she feels really sad about that. So she has a hard time making friends. And in the grocery store one day, she sees this stray dog that's just kind of tearing up the grocery store, and she adopts the dog. And then all of these things happen to her because of Winn-Dixie. My nieces and I just had a Winn-Dixie party when we finished reading the book a couple weeks ago. But if you read that one, and next time you're in town, I promise to throw you a Winn-Dixie party if you read this book and you like it. Another really good classic by Kate DiCamillo is The Tale of Despero. The book is really wonderful. It's a fantasy book about this little mouse who grows up in this castle, and his family kind of rejects him because he has these really giant ears, and he doesn't do all of the things that mice normally do. He's an outcast, and he goes on this adventure. He falls in love with the princess of this castle, and all these adventures happen to him. That's a really good one. And this one right here, Tiger Rising by Kate DiCamillo too. This one's a really short read. It's not that long. It's a really thin book, and it's about this boy. What is his name? I'm trying to remember his name. Robert? Richard? I can't remember. But the main character, his mom passes away, and he's feeling really sad. And he kind of bottles up all his emotions and doesn't, share with his dad. His dad is really sad too, and kind of doesn't ever want to talk about his mom. So he bottles up all his feelings, and he develops, because he doesn't let it out, through his tears or his emotions or his words. It kind of comes out in all these sores on his legs, and he gets bullied really bad at school. And then along comes a new girl named Sistine, and she's different than anybody he ever met. She's like one of those girl power girls. She doesn't fit into the all of the girly things. She likes to be herself, and they become friends. And then they find this tiger in the woods, in a cage in the woods. And the story goes from there, but that's a really quick read, another really good one. So these, out of all Kate DiCamillo's books, I recommend these three and The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. Those are the best. I just finished this series, which is really, really good as well. But I would start with one of these. If you liked Wonder, you might also like these books as well. Out of My Mind by Sharon Draper. It's about a girl, her name is Melody, and she's born um, without the ability to talk, and she has cerebral palsy, so she can't move really well either, and she can't speak. So it's really hard for her to communicate with the world. But can you imagine how life would be like if you couldn't talk and you couldn't really move yourself around in the world? Um, so she goes to all these special ed classes, and they kind of treat her like a baby and kind of like she's dumb, but she's really, really, really super smart. And then one of her aides decides, I know there's something going on in here, and there's, things that Melody wants to communicate, but she's having trouble with. So she gets her this computer where she's able to um, communicate through this computer that does talking for her. And then she gets to show the world how smart she really, really is. So then she gets to go to regular classes in her wheelchair in her school. And of course, there are some bullies and people that don't treat her really nicely, and her adventure goes on from there. But if you like Wonder, this one is a really, really good, heartwarming book as well. In the same category, I'm curious if you liked Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. I'm curious if you've ever read El Defo by Cece Bell. Cece Bell is like the nicest person on the planet. I got to meet her last summer at this camp that I went to, and when she was growing up, she was deaf as well. So this one is a memoir of the things she went through when she was growing up, when she first got her hearing aids, and how people thought she was weird. But it's a graphic novel, so if you like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, you might really like this graphic novel. So Cece tells her story about growing up and what it was like being different than the other kids in her class, but she tells it through the graphic novel format. So that is a really good one. And other graphic novels, I'm not sure if you've read any of these, but going into fifth grade, Raina Telgemeier, she's the author of all of these. The Smile series, Smile Sisters and Guts, first came out with Smile, and it was super duper popular. Every single one of my fifth graders loved, loved, loved this book. They loved it so much they've read it like 5 times. And then the sequel is Sister, and the part 3 is Guts. So these 3 go together. These 2 are other books that Raina Telgemeier has written. And then she also does the Babysitters Club series, which is in graphic novel form. So when your mom was younger, the Babysitters Club were popular chapter books, but she adapted them into graphic novels. But you should start with some of those books. Some of them are free if you have a Kindle account. Amazon knows that lots of students are home and don't have access to books like they normally would through the library or their teachers at school and that sort of thing. So a lot of these are free on either grandma's Kindle or mom's Kindle. But I hope you pick one of these books and enjoy it and read it. And if you do, maybe you can make me a video back. And I promise if you read Winn-Dixie, next time you come, we will have a Winn-Dixie party with you and me and my nieces, Ariana and Stella. All right, have a safe trip. I hope I get to see you soon. Bye-bye.